Hey everyone, Felix here, and today I'm gonna rank all 24 inns in Darkest Dungeon 2. Now, all inns, well, most of them, heal you for 50% of your HP and -1 stress, except for the few special ones. Alright, let's get started with the first one, the Torch and Crown. This one, you find it right after the valley, so it's the first inn you'll ever find, and it is the definition of C tier. I mean, it does the base, heal 50%, heal -1 stress, and on top of that, it gives you -10% negative relationship chance and -10% positive relationship chance. So, yeah, basically no relationships for you on the first inn, which, you know, it can be good, it can be bad, but most of the time it's good because you're not going to be doing much relationshiping in the first inn anyways. So, Torch and Crown, C tier. Next up, the Butcher's Feast. This one, it also heals you to... Actually, no, this one heals you to 100%, but it still gives the -1 stress. This one I'll put in B tier because it comes with the caveat that it also sells you 4 roast pigs, and roast pigs are good, even though you can only use 1 per inn, they're still very good. And he sells you extra food too and a whiskey barrel, so definitely B tier. Next up, we have the Crossed Swords. The Crossed Swords, where are they? Here, the Crossed Swords. They do the same, heal 50%, -1 stress, but this one gives you +5% crit. Now, +5% crit doesn't sound like a lot, but I think it's a lot, so I'm putting it in A tier. Next up, we have the Curious Nag. Does the same, healed 50, -1 stress, except this one scouts all assistance encounters, academic caches, and field hospitals. This one, I mean, scouting is pretty good if you can't reach the watchtower, so I'll put it in B tier. Next up, we have the Good Doctor. I am a surgeon! The Good Doctor is A tier as well. Actually, I think it might be better than Crossed Swords. This one heals you to 100%, removes 2 stress, and removes all diseases as well, and sells extra carriage and items, so more healing. Next up, we have the Greased Swine. The Greased Swine is a bit weird, because it does all the base things, heals to 50, -1 stress. It gives you an extra region choice, but apparently that extra region is not guaranteed to be the Sluice, you know, despite it being the Greased Swine. So that's weird, but plus a region choice is always good, so B tier. Next up, we have the Hag's Cauldron. This one's garbage, bro. This one's F tier. Heals to 25%, doesn't even remove stress, and it gives you -10% positive relationship chance and +10% negative relationship chance. And on top of that, they sell you 4 extra slime mold just to, you know, just to troll you further. So this one's garbage. Next up, the Keening Well. Keening Well heals 50, -1 stress, but this one, it gives you a guaranteed positive quirk, so I'll put this in A tier. Positive quirks are always good unless, you know, you get a breach on a healer, but that's a pretty rare chance of happening. Next up, we have the Limping Mule. Yeah, it's a cool reference, you know, with the description.
See, my mule don't like people laughing.
It heals to 50, -1 stress, but apart from the cool reference, it guarantees a negative quirk, so D tier. This one's kind of bad. Next up, the Lute and Dagger. Heals to 50, -1 stress. This one scouts all resistance encounters and cultist encounters, so I'll put in B tier. It's good for wanting to take fights or avoiding fights, so yep. Next up, the Miller's Bounty. Rip my boy Miller. This one heals to 50, -1 stress. You get half off of all combat items and in items. So, you know, the Miller got the deals. Next up, the Mountain's Shadow. Now, I'm not sure if the Mountain's Shadow can spawn outside of, you know, being the last inn before the mountain, but if you do get it there, it is very good. It heals the classic 50%, -1 stress, but it also, in addition, adds a 20% damage to Cosmic. That is very good, especially, you know, against Deacons, Cardinals, and other big boys in the mountain. And also the boss as well, so probably probably here. It's very good. High A tier. Next up, the Nomad's Wagon. Heals to 50%, -1 stress. And they sell a bit more trinkets and also at half price, so it's good, but you know, trinkets are a hit or miss, so it's kind of RNG based. Next up, we got our first S tier, the old Guild Hall. This heals 50%, -1 stress, and it gives you 2 whole mastery points. That is huge, so definitely S tier. You definitely want to hope you get this on one of your runs. Next up, the River's Song. This one is just a very good reset for your team. It heals you to max HP. Actually, no, it doesn't. It only heals you to 50. Huh. I might have to take it down a peg. But it also heals -3 stress. And the stress is probably a lot more useful than the HP healing, because you HP heal on the road anyways. So I'll keep it a B tier. It's good. Now next up, we have the Roaring Hearth. This inn is pretty nutty. It heals you to 100%, -3 stress, gives you a 20% positive relationship chance and a -20% negative relationship chance, and sells a tiny bit more trinkets. This one, I'll put it in S tier just because of how many positives it has. So yeah, Roaring Hearth S tier. Next up, the Rusty Blade. The Rusty Blade heals 50% HP, -1 stress, and comes with the interesting fact that it gives you 20% damage to pillagers. But I'm gonna put it in C tier because, I don't know, pillagers don't have that much HP anyways, so if you're gonna hit one for 5 damage, you do 6. And you're probably gonna kill them in the same amount of time anyways, so it doesn't really seem that useful. Next up, the Shambler's Altar. This one, I might also put C tier. It only gives you the base 50% HP healing, -1 stress, and it scouts all academic studies. But academic studies are pretty hit or miss. Sometimes they're terrible, sometimes they might be good, so I'll put
Next up, we got the Stumbling Corpse.
a bit better than
Stumbling Corpse
Rusty Blade. Does the classic, heals 50%, -1 stress, and lets you deal 20% extra damage to Gaunt. Now, same issue as the Rusty Blade. 20% damage is not a lot, especially to enemies that don't have that much HP in the first place, except for maybe the Woodsman if you find him, but that's a pretty niche scenario, and still might only be helpful to, you know, kill it in one less hit. So probably a bit better than the Rusty Blade, but still C tier. Next up, we have the Station House. Heals to 50, -1 stress. You get half off stagecoach equipment, and you get a lot more stagecoach equipment. I don't know, stagecoach equipment, I mean, it's alright. I'll probably put this like here, bottom of B tier. Next up, the Summit View. Heals 50, -1 stress, and it scouts 20% of all locations. Not that good, to be honest. I'll probably put this here, middle of C tier. Next up, the Tempting Goblet. Straight to F tier. Garbage. Heals you only to 25%, doesn't even cure your stress. In fact, it gives you stress as soon as you leave the inn. It gives every party member 2 stress. This is a very bad one. I'll put this like, yeah, this one's definitely at the bottom of F tier. This one's the worst thing you could possibly find. Next up, we have the Vestal's Secret. Now, I might put this in D tier because it gives you a bit more healing, 50% HP, -1 stress, but it gives you a guaranteed negative quirk and positive quirk. And I'd rather have no quirks at all than have a positive and a negative, to be honest. I will not roll the dice on that kind of RNG. So D tier. Next up, we have the Winking Thief. The Winking Thief is also very RNG. It heals 50%, -1 stress, you get a bit of discount on repairing your stagecoach, and because it's the Winking Thief, you get random supplies. So I'll probably put this here. Maybe your random supplies good, maybe they're bad, who knows, it's all RNG. Anyways, that's all 24 inns in Darkest Dungeon 2 ranked. Let me know what you think down below, if I got any of them wrong, if you disagree with me, and I'll see you next time. Peace.